Alright, today I have a Schlage Everest 29SL. This is a 7-pin lock with a check pin on the bottom right. It's a lot like the normal Everest in that it has pins on the top and the check pin. But this updated version, the 29SL, has L pins for the top pins rather than standard drivers in the Bible. And those interact with a sidebar. And each of those pins has a bunch of nasty false gates on it that bite really hard. Not to confuse this with the newer Primus 29SL. It's got the same things. Primus doesn't have the check pin. Instead, it has another sidebar on the right and a bunch of finger pins that you have to lift and rotate. So it's basically like half of the new Primus 29SL. And to pick this, I'll use a Topa keyway. And I have a Peterson hook number 7 in 18 thousandths. And we'll start from the back. This last one isn't moving much. I'll let off tension some because like I said, the false gates bite really hard. So let off tension a little bit, and then I lift it up, and now it's really loose. So I'll go back. I'll go up to 6. 6 is binding pretty hard. I'll let off tension some, but I don't want to do it so much that I drop 7. And there I lifted 6 up. 7, 6. Same thing with 5. Let off tension a little bit, but don't drop the other 2. Alright, went up some, but it still feels like it's binding, so I'm going to let off a little bit more. Try to get a little higher. Okay, 5 feels loose. 6 is still loose. 7 still loose. Come back up to 4. Not sure there. 3. Okay, 3. Gotta click out of it. It's loose. 2. Click out of it. It's loose. Pin 1 is way up front. Really hard to lift, but I got it up. Alright, double checking. 7, 6, 5. 4 is kind of weird. 3, 2. Let's check this check pin while we're at it. Yeah, that seems to have lifted. To look at pin 1, I'm going to switch the bottom of keyway here because it's blocked by that Topa keyway tensioner, and bring out a hook 1 to work off this right wording. Let's see where we're at. Oh, pin 1 does seem set. It's way up there. So when you push up on these things, they generally want to jump into their true gates and not overset past them usually. But if you do overset past them, you're kind of in trouble. It's pretty hard to drop out of a false gate, I would say, from my experience on the Primus. Alright, let's see what we got. 7's loose. 6 is loose. 5's loose. 4. 4 must be what's... 4 just feels weird in this lock. So I'm going to try 4. I think I dropped some things up front messing with 4 here. Alright. 4 is loose now. 3 gave me a little click and it's loose. 2 gave me a little click and it's loose. And 1 might have fallen down. Let's check this check pin. It's still loose. Go back to the bottom keyway. And let's fix pin 1. I'm pretty sure it fell down some. Indeed, it's binding. So we'll go ahead and try to lift that. Okay, lifted it once, still binding. Lift it again, and it's now loose. Okay, I felt the plug rotate some, so maybe we're stuck on the check pin. Go back to Topa keyway, check that check pin. No, not the check pin. So let's go to the back. 7's loose. 6 is binding. Right? Alright, and we're open. So 6 just caught a little bit, it felt like. So to gut this, there's not much to it. A lot of the pins are held in place by crimp, so we can't really mess much with that, unfortunately. But go ahead and turn on the autofocus. It's a fairly quick process here. Zoom in a bit. All right, so to gut this, get a little tray out and push down on this pin, and you only have to rotate it like less than a quarter of a turn, and that'll pop off. What is with this? I'm gonna turn it to manual focus. This is driving me crazy. All right, and so these are two pieces, the tail piece and then the ring that holds it. There's a little pin there to stop the ring from turning, and that has a little spring. Okay, now there's a clip on the back of here, which is pretty easy to remove. There's a little gap here. You can stick a little screwdriver in and just pull that off. Careful, this will launch itself across the room if you don't catch it. So there's that clip. And now you can pull it out, but there's a check pin in here, so let's go ahead and lock it up. There we go. And the key will hold the check pin in if you do that. You gotta make sure to catch the sidebar. This thing, you see it just has a groove in it, and then it's got a hole in the front for the check pin. So if this is not installed, you could actually, now I didn't, when I was going in, I was pushing up inside there, but you could actually just go and push from the outside here if you, but I was treating it like it was installed in something. All right, sidebar. So there's a sidebar. It has two springs. Sorry, I'm covering it all up. Two springs, and it's just a flat, straight piece like that. Okay. These two springs are identical to the spring that holds the check pin in place. So here's the check pin right there. I did not bring out tweezers, so I'll just go ahead and try to dump that. There's our little check pin. You have to lift up on it, and then there's a little spring there that pushes the check pin down. There it is. Spring for that check pin is the same as the sidebar springs. All right, so on here, let's see. There are, you can see there's a bunch of grooves on those, and if you put the key in, you'll see it lifts them all up. And now you can see the deep groove is across where the sidebar would fall in. Otherwise, it's not. So when you go to pick this, you're going to be lifting up and trying to get each one past all those little false gate grooves into that true gate there. So each of these you have to lift up. And there's why number 4 was kind of weird. It only went up a little bit. It's barely a lift. That one had to go pretty far, not as far, and pin 1 had to go like all the way up, pretty much. In any case, that is the Everest 29, Schlage Everest 29 SL. Thanks, bye.